expose of the same old story that I heard yesterday. Yeah, it goes the headlines, man. They all just go to plan. They're framed and fixed and rigged. You know they're all just spam. So buckle down, plug right in, and cross its way under your skin. Just got foul from the things they spout, and it won't make you shout. Give me that good news, because I'm tired of the same old shit. That good news, because I'm tired of the same old shit.
The Cowboys go.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the grounds with Giles and Jones and Slagle. And we got Cappuccino in with us today. So, hey, guys, hope it was a great week. Hope things are going well. Enjoying the summer because it's winding down. You were just talking about the school supply shopping.
Oh, yeah.
Holy cow.
Already.
What kind of state of mind does that put you in, huh?
Awesome state of mind.
About to have an empty house for a little bit.
Summer's over.
It should
Shit,
be
but
year
yes.
round, man. Year round. School year round, please.
School year round. Yeah. Well, hey, that's one of those things that we look forward to, but don't look forward to every year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But hey, guys, welcome for tuning in to the most unique show, as we believe it, on the internet, where you can join us, come in, hang out with us, and share with us some thoughts and ideas, and tell us if I'm really crazy or not. I mean,
Of course, the most unique show that we have on 216 Creator Studios. There's Uncle Pete right there. Put that right into your URL and be part of this show. Come on in. Today, a big topic, men's mental health over time. Where have all the real men gone? And hey, we want to give a shout out to our good friends over at Natural Therapy Wellness Center, always supporting the studio. If you are stressed, they'll help you be blessed. Stop by, get a massage, deep tissue, sports massage, Thai yoga, acupuncture,
hot stone.
you name it, couples massage, whatever you want. They have a house full of licensed massage therapists. 815-385-8190, or check them out at www.mchenrymassage.
That's where all the real men go.
That's right.
To deal with their mental health.
And of
right.
course, we have, of course, we've got JH Events and Flowers as well. It's $5 Friday. Stop by either one of their locations in Fox Lake or McHenry. Grab a $5 bundle of fresh cut flowers. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. This is just a great way to spruce up the house and office, or just tell somebody,
What a great deal.
hey, here you
Yeah.
go.
Oh, it is too. And,
You know?
you can't help. It can't help but put a smile on people's faces.
Absolutely.
And it's one of those nice things. I try to get it as often as I can. Start me off for the weekend well.
It helps
I
with
get her the
the
massage, but that she can't keep seeing that. She just feels it. So I give her the flowers that can keep reminding her, right?
there you
No,
go.
That
they
way,
are
when you
both-
mess up, you can just be like,
Yeah, look,
remember the
see?
flowers I got you?
See, look, that was last week's, and there's weeks. I don't let her throw them out because I can remind her. See, a month in a row.
it costs you $5 once a week to get forgiveness.
Yes,
That's really
That's
what it
cheap.
is. You know, and
That's
it
cheap.
ends the week, makes a great weekend, right? Put a smile on their face.
yeah.
You can't go wrong.
And that fits right into our topic this week as far as men's mental health.
Yeah.
Right.
That helps with your mental health.
It
Right.
does.
Because you're making you are kind of making your wife happy. You feel better because you're making her happy,
Sure.
right? And you're not getting nagged, maybe.
Well,
Maybe.
you said it, not me.
Allegedly.
You still got to go home.
I know I do. Shit.
I don't have that problem
I
at
didn't
home.
think-
Everything's perfect at home.
That's why
That was-
we love Cappuccino.
That was good. That was a good save. Yes. Yeah.
So the big deal, the real deal, guys, is the pussification of America. And where have all the real men gone? I don't think there's any manly men. I mean, there's some. I watch X-Men. There's still some guys out there who are rough, tumble. Their hands are calloused. They're men. They're
Yeah.
men. Now with the pussification of America, we don't. Well, hey, whatever. Here's take it like a man. Whatever happened to that phrase?
Well, you got
Because if you
growing
say that
up,
in prison, it could be a wrong thing.
Yeah, that's
That's-
disrespect. That's
Right.
considered disrespectful these days.
growing up, it was always like the man's man is like the Marlboro man, wearing chaps, cowboy hat, leg up in the air, like on a fence post, smoking a Marlboro Red, full flavored, unfiltered cigarette,
drinking bacon grease,
absolutely,
Just
right,
with whiskey,
right, coffee cup full of coffee cup full of Jim Beam, just
right,
yeah.
It's like 7 a.m.
That was the man's man. Now we've got what's the symbol of masculinity right now? Nick Offerman, probably, right? Nick Offerman, his character Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec. That's like he gets out,
so humble, overweight, not very smart.
He's but just real men eat meat,
right?
Real men are libertarians. I'll shoot my gun off. I'll eat my meat if I want to.
He won't eat the Impossible sandwich,
right? Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, no tofu bacon for him,
right?
Because he's a real man,
right?
That's he's currently the one of the only symbols of like modern masculinity that I can think of,
right?
That's popular at the moment.
So everything we just labeled basically states that you, as a real man, you get to live to the ripe age of like 36.
Right? Yeah. Well, remember that kid eating butter? He grew up to be a real man.
That's right. Well, and I mean, so that poses the question. I mean, what really constitutes a real man, right? I mean, obviously, definitions have changed over the years, right?
Sure.
I mean, so when we use the term we're saying, real men, like rough and tough, the guy that built America type of thing, right? He's getting his hands dirty. He's involved in everything. He's rough. He's tough. He's worn. His body's worn out.
Is that your definition of a real man?
No, that's why I'm asking.
So, what is your definition of a real man? And why?
That's a good one because I gotta think about that one. For me, the way I was raised, a real man is one that takes care of, the significant others in his life. Right. For me, a real man takes care of his wife and kids.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. You know what I mean? Right. This is what a man does. Right. A criteria was spelled out to what we do. And that's how I was born and raised to, this is what I do.
Yeah.
So I've taught my kids, right, to do that. At least my son, as far as being a man, right?
Correct.
These are the things that men do. This is what we don't do. Well, that has changed, right? And how people are bringing up their kids today because political correctness and just even the workforce is changing. You know what I mean? A lot of the rough and tough jobs that used to be there that, solidified you as a real man isn't so much there anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not helping.
Well, do you think that during the spell through an era where babies were having babies, kind of dictate how boys were raised, versus having an older parent that planned it and knew to carry the legacy of what they did and how to survive or take care of their loved ones is passed along the line, right? I mean, so if you get, the 18-year-old kid who now has a son, he's not a real man yet. He's still a grown.
No, he's still a kid.
He's still a kid. So it's kids having kids.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of affected a lot of now. Listen, and I don't want to be misconstrued because I do believe mental health on men is important.
Yeah.
We're trained as men, or at least I was. I can't speak for everybody. That when they're what do you do it?
He's letting you hear yourself talk.
Yeah, he's like, do you believe what you just said?
Is that the voice of God? What happened?
Our StreamYard is having a little bit of issues here, so I just was jumping into YouTube. Don, good morning. Don says what used to define men is now considered sexist. Provider protection.
True statement, or toxic masculinity,
toxic masculinity.
Nice
But we were taught to shove it down.
Yeah,
and then when
be a man,
and then when you need more room, shove it down farther.
Yeah.
Right. And, and I saw something not too long ago where it was like, it takes two as a couple, if it's man, woman, or partner, whatever the case may be. But the fact that how many times do you call your wife to ask her to do something versus how many times you hear your name?
That's interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we're like, whatever it takes. No matter what, no limit, no cap. will do whatever it takes to make it right, to fix it. A real man to me is someone who knows how to take accountability for their actions, that knows that if, stupid games equal stupid results, to do whatever it takes. It's not about me as a man or anything. It's about the loved ones around me, and expect nothing in return.
Yeah. But there's, so one of the biggest problems facing our society right now is men's mental health, because traditionally, and this is not a result of something that happened overnight. This is many, many years of the prescribed, manly man who can't open up, who can't share, who has to bottle it all and, like you said, stuff it down. And over years and years and years of that being the prescribed method for men to deal with their feelings, now we have a whole society of people that are just breaking down or unable to cope. Men die a lot earlier than women, and a good portion of that is just stuffing everything down, bottling it up, doing every single task with zero complaint, asking for nothing in return, and then just dropping dead at the ripe old age of like 67 while your wife lives on to be
Congratulations, 90. You won the game.
Right. Yeah, you won. You won at life. Good for you,
Right. Well put.
You won the game. I like that one. The comment that you made is actually one that resonates, very well with. I mean, for sure, Kent and I, and yours, right? Growing up is push it down, suck it up, Buttercup, right?
Yep.
It's like
rub some dirt in it.
Real men don't cry, and that gets sucked into your psyche, right? Like when you have that point where it's like sometimes a cry is the best thing in the world. You just let all that shit that's pent up and go, but then all of a sudden in the back of your head, you're like,
well, I
want to be a real man.
That was always taught that was a sign of weakness.
Yep.
Right.
Well,
right. And that's, and that played home and lived home for me for many years, because it's like, I don't want to be weak.
Yeah.
I feel weak already. I got picked on quite a bit as a kid. Right. So for me, if I'm going to feel even weaker because I cry and let my feelings out, I really got to suck this shit up. Right.
And you have done well, because I pick on you still. And you handle it like a man. You do well.
Don from Grapevine, Texas. And
Don, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, we're not seeing it.
Morning, Don.
Yeah, I don't see any comments.
I literally just told you guys 2 minutes ago.
I thought you were a producer. What are you doing?
That we're having trouble.
I'm hearing all kinds of issues, but no resolution.
I'm seeing this, but I'm not hearing it.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Jesus, what kind of show is this?
Grapevine, Texas. And here's his email for this comment. No. Why do husbands die before their wives? Because they want to.
Don, where's your wife?
Ladies, that's just a joke. And good morning. Shayna says good morning. And
morning, Shayna.
Morning, Shayna.
Your dad.
Good morning, Pop.
Says, cultural norms and greater gender expression are gradually breaking down barriers. Redefined masculinity encourages men to embrace emotional healing and therapy.
I love it.
And well, here's the issue. Here's the issue.
Yeah.
With me, why do we have to redefine masculinity? Why do we have to redefine anything? Right?
Because it fits into people.
Listen, if you're a man, you're a man. Look, how bad was life back in the 1960s, 1970s? How bad was it?
From what I remember, it was great.
Oh, now.
For a man, for a kid, it wasn't so awesome.
Now, how great is it today? Just think of the conversations you've had. Think of the craziness that's going on in conversations, right? All of a sudden now, to be a man, to be within yourself, to maybe swallow some of that hurt, to move on, to be a leader, quote unquote leader, I can't, because I'm afraid that, this toxic man, I might upset Steve, and he may not be as man. Look at the traits, right? The traits normally men, right?
Yep.
Where are they all? Oh, we've gotten rid of that. We got to take that out of the school. We don't want men to be men in today's world. I don't care who you are, right? It's the way it is. And you know what? People in your family want you to be a man, want you to be a leader. They don't want to see Scott over here. Oh, that's the head of the household. Oh, you mean the guy curled up in a fucking fetal position on the phone with his AI therapist? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I do.
I totally follow you.
Right? And where has it gone? We're like, oh my God, it's okay to cry. You're crying all the fucking time now.
Yeah.
All you're doing is sitting in the fetal position crying. And today's society, my opinion, 100% out there, social medias, is today's society is saying, we don't want a man. We want you to be soft. Right?
Yeah.
We don't want
in
you
a
to
lot
be
of
the head
respects,
the house.
absolutely.
We don't want you to be a man.
In
It's
an effort,
redefining. They're just trying to redefine.
No, in an effort to redefine, to make it easier for a man to be a man or to think of himself as a man while still not having the qualities of a leader per se. I mean, we're looking at a huge gender normative shift in society. I remember growing up, if a man was a male nurse, that was like a thing.
Oh, yeah,
they were
you
immersed.
shunned.
You were
this guy.
right.
Right.
And
first
now
thing you think right away is, he must be alternative lifestyle.
and
right?
here we are 30 years later, and you don't hear anybody get made fun of for being a nurse anymore. That's gone. Men are nurses, and
They're
traditionally,
cheerleaders.
yeah,
they're cheerleaders.
and you've got women welders. It's just
And that's okay.
yeah,
That's
100%.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Look at Pinky Tuscadero. She was tough.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
she
not
was.
talking about Rosie the Riveter. I'm talking about.
Hey.
Don says the redefining is creating mass confusion among young people, leading to more depression than ever. And then Shayna says, I lean stoic and support mental health through striving and accomplishment. Real men are absolutely dangerous and need to be led. The ability to control, it is the prize. Now, you're going to have to go a little bit deeper on real men are dangerous.
Yeah, well, and again, that's her, and that's her. And when she hears the term "real man," obviously it's invoking something very different than what we're hearing. Because if they're dangerous and need to be controlled, then that definition is not what my definition is currently.
Well, so most people, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No.
A lot of people that have commentary to that point were probably burned by not what we consider a real man, but just what we consider an asshole.
Yep.
And so they're defining the asshole as what all men are.
And that is where the term toxic masculinity comes from, is separating the things that men thought they needed to be that are adverse to their mental health and people around them versus things that are completely emotionally healthy versus not.
They don't need to be led, they need to be partnered with.
Back then, a real man, was one that took care of everything. He went out, he made the money, he took care of the house, he took care of the cars. That was a quote unquote real man's job, where the wife stayed home potentially and raised the kids.
Sure.
Right. Well,
So-
obviously that has changed considerably.
So Shayna says, read it again, and Don says, I think they misread you, Shayna. So I'm gonna read it.
We're actually not reading you, Shayna.
We can't.
see you.
Our producer doesn't know what he's doing. Sorry, Shayna.
All right, I'm just gonna read it. I lean stoic and support mental health through striving and accomplishment. Period. Real men are absolutely dangerous and need to be led. Period. The ability to control it is the prize. Period.
The ability to control the real manism.
That's what.
Yeah,
I'm not
okay.
I mean, why is a real man dangerous? I mean,
Real men.
well, I guess here, hold on, Shayna. What is your definition of a real man, and why would he be dangerous?
Yeah, I just am not
Real men
educated
are
enough to
absolutely-
understand the comment.
Real men are absolutely dangerous and need to be to lead. So they need to be dangerous.
To lead.
Gotcha.
To lead.
Okay.
I did misread that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
need to be dangerous to lead. I don't know.
Well, and this is the whole argument. You heard this argument. I know you're not online as much, but you've heard the man versus bear argument. It's been going around a lot.
Man versus bear, like animal bear.
Yeah. Like, would you? It's being asked to women, being posed to women. This blew up online. It's huge right now. Would you rather be stuck in the woods with a bear or a man? And the women are choosing a bear, and then a bunch of men are getting their panties in a twist, being like, "Wow, the bear is just going to rip you apart." And it's like, that's not the point. The point is the traditional man, the generalized man, just standing in the woods, is more threatening and more dangerous to a woman than an actual live brown bear or black bear. That's the argument right now.
Came up with that comment.
Right.
It's
Right, like that makes no
I don't know.
sense.
I don't know if I can just go, well, that
Hold
sounds
on.
badass.
So mentally, right.
You know?
Think about that one. A bear that it's inbred to fuck you up, right? Realistically, right?
Absolutely.
A human man, a male, right? in other can use that word as well, but we're there. I guess you could say, I mean, back in the day, it was to conquer women, right? But it wasn't to hurt them or kill them. At least,
the URL should be working.
That wasn't our primary desire or goal, right, for a woman, other than conquer them for obvious sexual reasons, right? But that one blows me away. That a woman would rather be in the weeds or in the forest with a bear, right, than a man. So that's from a mental standpoint, maybe, but from a physical standpoint,
let's look at that. Let's look at the nature to that.
Yeah, right. That's what the question is asking.
A bear will just kill you. A man will protect you,
or viciously kill you with a malicious intent. Whereas the bear will always just be the bear.
Why are you in the woods, and for what reason?
Right. Why is there a random man just standing in the woods? That's and see, so all factors being equal, it's so more just meant to be a social commentary.
Be with the man in the woods or strange man?
Strange man.
Oh, that makes a difference.
Yeah. Give me 2 minutes with the woman response that way. Don, welcome in, brother.
And morning, Don. Hey.
All right, so
how's it going, everyone? Good to see you.
Listen,
you got Drew all excited.
Listen,
it's always good to see Don. I get excited when I see Don.
Not so long ago, the average American man in his 20s, right, had achieved most of the milestones of adulthood: high school diploma, financial independence, marriage, and children. Today, most men in their 20s hang out in a novel sort of limbo. I got my man bun. I live in my parents' basement. I'm a hybrid state of semi-hormonal adolescence and responsible self-reliance, right? Where, hey, I was married at 22, right? Had a wife at 25, had a kid, had a I didn't have a degree, right? I didn't graduate college, right? But I got my high school. I worked hard, had a good living, right? And you did things on the weekend like mow your lawn and work in
your wood shop.
In the wood shop.
Yep.
You were working when you weren't working,
right?
No, working with your hands definitely a manly man thing to do. Yeah.
Right. And
fixing cars.
And now we don't do that. Now it's, you know what? I don't have time. I let somebody else mow my lawn. I got a house cleaning crew that comes in. I pay because, you know what? I've got to sit here and make sure my man bun looks good. So when I run out to the coffee shop to get my skinny latte, cappuccino, whatever, and then sit on my phone, in my little social bubble that I've created on my phone. And then when I'm like, hey, bro, I'm going to cut some wood and build a thing. And you're like, all right, buddy, good for you.
Yeah. See you later.
Right.
Right.
That was, it's Ken. It's funny as you were running through yours. I mean, I had a goal when I was younger that now would probably seem ridiculous. That one of my goals was to make enough money so my wife could stay home with the kids kind of during their formative years. It wasn't because she couldn't work and make a living. It's because I thought it would be better for my kids. If my wife, I'd rather my wife be raising my kids than a babysitter. That was something I wanted to do. And now today that would be like, oh, a lot of people act like that's some horrible thing, which obviously I don't think it is.
Survive off of one income in this day and age.
It's getting harder and harder to do that. But I tell you what, it's not as hard as people say it is. It's people make that choice. People make that choice.
All right, so let's put opinion off the board here. According to the National Institute of Health, American men are four times as likely to commit suicide than women. And if all we do is we sit there and we feast on a diet of video games, porn, combined with a little drive to better yourself, the results are pretty sad. Yeah. Right? Oh, I listened to a TED Talk. Let me finish watching this porn. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what do you like watching better? I guess.
If you find the right TED Talk, you don't need porn.
If you combine those,
that's
a new show, Ken, waiting to happen.
Man, this thought exercise is really getting me
right. Starring Don from Texas, known as Texas Don.
Hey, look.
I don't think so. That was Debbie, not Don. Yeah.
Let's throw something else out there.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got?
back in the day, and I'm saying back in the mid to late 1900s.
Okay.
Right? If you saw somebody that needed help, if you saw somebody who needed a tire changed, the guy would pull over.
You pull over and help them.
Right? Now you don't. You're like, oh, I have a phone. I don't want to help. I don't want to get my hands dirty. I don't. Right? When a real man, when they saw somebody in need, stop what they were doing and help them. Men don't do that.
Well, that's a two-way street. You don't know what you're stopping anymore and who you're coming up on anymore.
Well, you bet you did. Back then, you did. Back then, you didn't know either.
No, but now, it was a different mindset back then.
It was a different mindset, but you don't know now either. You didn't know then, but now there's so much more out there in the world saying that these people are bad, right? And they're putting this already generalized mindset in that.
Well, you got the interweb.
No, what's that?
You got the interweb, right? You got the internet. So with the internet,
that's what I'm saying.
You see more bad,
right?
So you think all of it's bad,
right? Exactly. And back then, you just did it because that's what a man did, right?
What I was taught to do,
right? Well, and it's what I was taught to, and that's what I taught my kids, and I still do it. Yeah. I mean, yes. Do I think a little bit more into it when I stop?
Right.
Yeah, a little bit more, but I'm also doing the things of what would I want someone to do for me, or what would I want someone to do for my family, right? I mean, every day it's choices, right?
You're just more cautious. You're just more cautious,
right? You have a little bit more cautious.
Right.
Now, am I going to
usually feel for that extra sidearm on your ankle before you walk up there?
Right. I mean, am I going to pull over, and help a bunch of, like brawny men, in a car?
If they look like they know what they're doing,
right? Probably not. You know what I mean? Or somebody that just looks a little bit more suspicious.
Woman or baby. For sure, I'm stopping.
Everybody's a little bit more cautious.
Right. Not even going to think twice about that one. I mean, and that's where Kent uses the word pussification, right? Like the thought processes that a lot of these people are getting into today is just so far gone because of the internet and all the stuff they're seeing that they're not even taking time to process themselves and figure out where they're at. Like obviously down in the city, certain things you don't want to do. Out here in the burbs.
You got to know. You got to know your surroundings. You got to know your surroundings. You got to be aware.
Yeah.
Even if I saw a car of the burly men having issues, I would probably pull up, roll the window down, and be like, "You guys good?"
Yeah.
And go that route. First stop, get out, go over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be a little bit of a difference, but if I saw somebody really struggling or in need, that's how I was raised.
Well, and I would say that's less about being a manly man than it is about a declining social consciousness.
Right.
Everybody across the board is a lot less likely to stop and help out a stranger than they used to be back in the day.
Now.
Well, Matt, guys, it's got to that point that it's gotten so bad when something bad is happening, people don't help. They film it. They film it on their phones rather than help. It's astounding.
Yeah, and they're not trying.
They're filming it to be like, see, this is really what happened if you come back at me. Now some people are doing it to protect their ass, right?
No, it's to post on social media most of the time.
Well, that too.
Trying to get likes on social media, 100%.
It's well,
And like, subscribe, and follow.
Right. about 10 years ago, I was in a suburb here, Schaumburg, right? Dropping some stuff off at my father-in-law's, gearing the kids up, and the wife, I had them with me. We were going to Wisconsin Dells. So we're gearing up to leave. I had to drop my dog off and whatnot. And on one of the roads, Plum Grove Road there and Schaumburg Road intersection, there was a lot of traffic, and there was a van in the middle that you could see there was an accident. And so the road was blocked off by a couple guys on Harleys and stuff like that. And there's a bunch of people just standing there in the street with their phones out. And I hear this little girl scream, my brother's dead. And I was like, fuck. So I get out. My wife said, go. So I get out and I run over there and I'm looking at everybody. I'm knocking phones out of people's hands. I'm pissed. Right. I get in there and I'm looking at this kid sitting in the chair and he's got blood. And he's in one of the captain chairs. It's like one of those Honda vans. Yeah. And they got the captain chairs in the mid row. And the window, he was at the impact side. Right.
Yeah.
And he had blood all over his face. And the mom and she's just doing this. I don't know. She's in shock.
Right, I was gonna say she's in shock.
And so first thing this is how I was trained. I just checked for a pulse.
Right.
I looked at her and I said, listen, your son's alive. He's fine. I wiped his face off. It was glass in his head. That's where all the blood was coming from, right? Made sure no arteries. Try not to touch so much blood, right? But and she's like freaking out. I'm like, hey, listen, this kid's gonna come too, and he's gonna look at your reaction. You need to pull your head out of your ass right now. And I went outside. I said, somebody get this girl out. Like everybody's standing around doing nothing.
Right. Taking film.
Ambulance came.
Stepping up, right?
Ambulance came, and I tapped out.
Right, yeah. When
Well,
the
you
right
wanna-
people, when the right people are there.
Well, you want to talk about a traditional manly man thing to do, right? All right. I mean, that's never changed. You saw the situation, became assertive, got a hysterical woman under control. Like that's right out of a movie. You know, the only thing you didn't do is have to grab her and slap her a couple times,
Right.
like Casablanca style.
Airplane movie.
Right.
Movie.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Right. Striker.
Yes. Yeah.
Captain, I can handle this. Get yourself together. Yeah.
So, and it wasn't a second thought. And I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I'm like, when my father taught me to run to it, not run away from it, because the objective was think about what if that was your kid? What if that was wouldn't you want somebody to do that?
Well, you know that here's you're 100% right. And here's for me what I feel is that because today it's become such a litigious society, right? That people shy away from that shit because I'm going to help you, I'm going to get sued.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People are worried about the repercussions of helping somebody. And that was the one that just drives me nuts.
It seems like people are just looking for something to complain about.
Absolutely.
Like coming from a Chicago Italian family, and it was a term of endearment. It was, "Hey, hon, how you doing?"
Right.
Now that's why you shouldn't call me hon.
What do you call me, honey?
Right.
Yeah.
HR.
It's sexist. Yeah. That's HR.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And listen, I'm not going to change that.
No. And
If you get offended by that, that sounds like you got some demons that you need to work out.
When society's
That's the way it is.
always changing on what the acceptable
and that's
verbiage is
that's
for
one of
it.
the harder things for me because for all intents and purposes, I am very much a manly man, right? Like I'll say something like that in terms of endearment, right? Because that's what I was brought up. And like my wife will look at me and be like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Right.
Like it's not like I said, hey, you sexy bitch. What's going on? It's like, hey, hon, what's
Right.
happening? How are you?
Right.
Like, hi, what's up, sweetheart? You know what I mean?
What's wrong with this broad?
Right.
Like-
Yeah, right. Like I'm being a person, right? Right. Yeah. Well,
Give her a slap on the ass, get your coffee, and move on. You know.
Is treat people the way you want to be treated, right? And I raised my kids that way,
Right.
right? So and why
And it's how you present it too.
So Shayna says, "Show me a man's lawn, and I know more about him than." That's true. And that's one of my great. Everybody's like, "Oh, all my daughters know how to mow the lawn, right? All my kids, that's part of the chores, right? But I take pride in my lawn. I trim. You know what I'm saying? Like, gotta get some weed.
Now, does that still count when the man pays for somebody to come and do the lawn?
No, then Mario is the real man.
Right.
God, man,
Yeah.
we're just gonna call him man.
And then, and then she says, we are also unaware of how badly the chemical assaults, like our food and our environment, has taken away
It impacts. Yeah.
masculinity.
Oh, that's an
Or
entirely
women,
different
right?
year of shows.
What our and Don says Texas lawns are a lot better than Illinois.
No, the opposite. I said that's one of the few things I've liked better in Illinois. We had much better lawns in Illinois than Texas. Too thick and hot down here.
I've got the whites. I'm in Texas. Is what color is your lawn? Well, I got the white stone lawn. Well, I got the red stone
Right.
lawn. I really like it a lot.
Or brown, because the grass is dried up. Yeah.
Yours in there, you're good.
Right. But you hit on a big one there, though, and I want to kind of hit a little bit more on that one. The food, like the chemical assault that Shayna brought up, right?
Yeah.
That is a big thing, right? And that is a unbelievably valid thing, right? Because what's in your stomach, and your gut microbiome is what sends the chemicals to your brain to make, whatever, just make your brain function properly. So are we losing that assertiveness? Because as a real man, a real man in my book is assertive, right? Is
That's
like
right.
into
all
it.
they should have
Now they're all timid and like, the pussification.
all they should have in their gut is nicotine, tar, and alcohol.
Testosterone.
No, but they're not I feel like they're not attacking things because their mind is saying they're worried about what's going to happen. Like I know for me, I used to never think about what other people would think or how it would affect. I shouldn't say never, but how it would affect others or how they're going to take it, right? I'm just going to do what I need to do to get it done. Now I have to think, ooh, how's Kent going to think about that? Or how's Drew going to react to me doing this?
Here's the issue. You all, and me included,
y'all,
all you men have created this. Now, here's what I'm saying. I grew up in Iowa, right? 45, 50%, 50,
explains
60,
a lot.
50, 60% of the friends I knew worked on the farm.
Yep.
Right? What did mom and dad say? I mean, you don't want to work on the farm your whole life. It's hard work, man. You don't want to do this. Go get yourself an education.
That's right.
Get into the city.
Right.
Right? Hey, don't be a country.
Become a CEO.
Work smart, not hard.
Right. So all of us, Bob, you included especially, said, I want better for you, which we thought was better, saying, you know what, Steve? I want you to be better. I want you to grow a man bun and be a pussy, right? Pardon my language, right? But the truth be told is we've created this. And then we said, you know what? Dad, I listen, my car, no problem. Bring it over. Hold the flashlight. Right? I didn't show you how to do it. I got mad at you for not holding the flashlight because let me
give me the 13 millimeter socket. What's that?
And whether you know it's good for somebody or not, it changes. That type of change is always hard, and that's actually such a common trope. It's such a common trope. My dad did it. Hey, you got to go to college. You got to get a degree. You got to learn something. And then you do, and you come back and you disagree with him one time. You look at this fancy pants motherfucker. Right. He thinks, you think you're so smart. And it's like, no, I am. You sent me to school.
You sent me to school.
Paid for me now I went to school. I learned. I got an elevated social consciousness from being around everybody my age all the time, 24/7 in large groups of people, understanding what the greater group wanted versus just my own selfishness of being an only child, being raised in a single family home. And you come back and you're like, no, that's not the way things are. So what do you know? It's like, wow, a lot, because that's what I just spent my time on.
Listen, there's a stubbornness to that men carry, right?
Yeah.
My father, not much different. My father wanted to argue. We were watching a nature channel, so my brother was really smart, and he started talking about dolphins, right? And my father was like, you don't know what you're talking about. My brother's like, well, this is true. This is how they communicate and everything. He's like, you don't know dolphins. I know dolphins.
See,
and my brother's like, you don't.
And you ain't no dolphin.
The words were, I was a dolphin, comes out of your mouth, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
He would take it to the end. He had to not be, he felt not as smart as his son.
Well, he was threatened because he wasn't as smart as his kid, right?
And the acceptance to having, that was your goal. Your goal was for your kid to be better than you.
Yeah, but then once it happens, it's like you reevaluate, like, shit, okay, I'm not as smart as I thought I was.
Well, you start feeling not as useful.
You start,
not as useful. And so now they don't need you as much, right? Because but in the same sense, I have a friend, and I know Ken can relate to this. I have a friend that called me one day and he's like, hey man, we were going to do something. He's like, I'm going to be running late because I got nothing but cold water in my house. I'm like, oh, your water heater go out? He's got to know I'm waiting for the plumber to come here. I'm like, well, did you check the pilot light? He literally paused and said, pilot light?
What's that?
And I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Can my water heater fly?
What? And like, he was never shown, never taught, never. And even if my father had to have it was beyond his way of doing things, he would hire somebody to come do it because he just didn't have the knowledge.
Right.
My father would be like, go down there and watch them.
Right. Go figure it out.
And that guy would be like, come on, here, grab a wrench. Let me show you how. And that's how I learned. Listen, I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, but I know how to do a little bit of everything.
That's in my opinion, that's a good way to be. And that's how I
100%
raised my kids, right?
100%.
My son's way more handy than I am, but it's because he's got a engineering brain and he just goes on YouTube. I mean, that's something we didn't have when we were here, but you can find how to fix anything or almost do anything on YouTube. So that's actually a good, useful tool. But
it is a useful tool. Now,
I want to throw another thing out about this whole changing of things. I think part of what's happened to us, and it's not just men, but it certainly is men, is we have so many people in our society that expect everything to come to them easy. As soon as it gets hard, they shut down and stop. Oh, it's not fair. This is not. I mean, I always tell people, whoever told you life was going to be fair was lying to you.
It's that society of instant gratification.
Yeah. Well, we've had it. It's kind of, in some ways, it's had, I call it, Americans are kind of fat, dumb, and happy. We think things are good and easy and things like that just because, not because people worked hard and had to push through things and battle things and overcome things. Now, if it gets hard, it's somebody else's fault. It's not fair. Somebody should take care of me, that kind of thing. I think we've really fallen into that trap generally in our society. And so it's like, if it gets hard, I'm going to shut down. I'll stay home and stay with my parents.
Yeah, I'll take a mental health day. Shayna says, every public person I have seen stand unapologetic against feeling bullies has survived. A difference of opinion is an invite to the IST label, right? Feminist, you know what I mean? Commie, whatever, which is true. Now, understand what I'm saying. Men's mental health over time has not changed. I want everybody to understand that. Nor are we saying that we're trying to belittle the importance of women and
absolutely
and
right.
Strength of women and women.
Not at all.
Whatever. We're not doing that. Right?
Nope.
But I think that we've become sissies. We've become soft. We think that now masculinity is sucking our thumb and crying to our therapist. Right? Oh, you're a real man now, right?
You're sharing your feelings, right?
Real men now wear khakis and Crocs, instead of blue jeans and boots. You know what I mean? But to me, America, the world, still needs strong. Now, I'm not saying assholes. I'm not saying people abuse people. We need to.
I'm glad you said that, because I think there's a definition out there that's what the definition of a man is, and that's why a lot of people are tainted on that. Right.
I mean,
it definitely is the negative connotation to it, for sure.
Look, Scott, I love Scott. He takes a lot of risks. That's what a good leader, a man, does, right? I mean, he's in businesses. He takes Drew, you do too, right? A lot of risks, right? But we do, a lot of times we're like, I don't. Maybe I should. Maybe I shouldn't. Scott, you own a business that sells dildos and butt plugs.
Yes, right? I do. Right over there in McHenry. Come on, stop by.
Right next to the CBD store.
That's right. We can't say, hey, we sell dildos and butt plugs. We have to say, this is sexual enhancements or something. I don't know what the hell you guys call it, right?
Adult toys.
But at the same time, Scott can't go out there on social media and promote that business because somebody's offended by it. Right?
Big time.
Or he'll get
you get kicked off. You get slapped.
You've gone against community standards.
That's a community standard.
Right?
You can't do anything.
But the deal is that if we're a democratic society here in America, we're the opposite of that. A democratic society is mob rule, right? The majority wins.
Mm-hmm.
Here, over the last 20 years, 30 years, I don't know what it is, we've reversed it. And now the minority calls the shots, right? So the manly men now have kind of faded back into the woods, like Homer Simpson into the bush. I just said, you know what? Leave me alone. I'm going to go off grid. Give me a farmette, whatever, right? I'm gonna be a man. I don't want to deal with all this stuff, right? And the non-manly men, to me now, are running around and
take a job at Starbucks
in capris with their Crocs and man buns, and
Right. Well, the point you made there was it was an interesting one, that the manly men now are stepping away from mainstream society.
I think
going to their farmettes or going to their
cabin in the woods.
Their cabin in the woods.
Well, we're identifying generational definitions here.
That's what it is.
That's really what it is. It's generational. The definition of back in the day of man is, this whole exact description. But listen, A real man will know when it's time to go talk to
Well,
somebody.
and there's a decided difference
Right.
between pussification and emotional maturity.
Listen, if you can
a
put
lot
on
of
the
people-
khakis, the Crocs, and the socks, and you can survive on this plane, because that's what it's really about. It doesn't really matter. If you're going to be that way about it, great. If you have a friend that's a little more into the man definition that can help you through stuff, great. But a true man will know where their faults lie. And back in the day, that was just suck it up. And then suck it up equals, collapse. Right. Eventually that implodes. Today's role, listen, we come in, maybe not so much you, but we come from a generation, and I still hold true to this. I hold a standard to myself as a man. If I need to seek help, I'll go get it. And if that's therapy, if that's whatever, I'll do it. I do take risks, right? Scott takes risks, but Scott's the kind of risk guy that he's like, I'm gonna throw this parachute out the window first and then jump after.
And dive after.
Right. I'm like, well, that's crazy. I'm not. I guess if that's going to define a man, I guess I'm not as much of a man, maybe as Scott. Right.
It's not a challenge if I have to.
I'll build one in midair if I have to.
If I say something that might offend somebody, I'll think about it and then go, well, sounds like they got some things to work out for themselves, because I don't give a fuck. Excuse my language. Right. And so I stick to my standards. I try to help as many people as I possibly can. I do what I can do for my family. That is priority, number one. My friends are also my family. They fall into that second category, right? And then I think about myself last. But if I start falling to the wayside and everybody's like, dude, you look like shit, you need, I'll be like, okay, maybe I need to go talk to somebody. That doesn't pussificate me. And if somebody thought that, I'd be like, don't give a shit. We all got to survive here. Right.
Right.
So at the end, I know you want to get a comment in.
No, Shane,
But I think at the end of the day, a real man is somebody who takes responsibility and accountability for not only themselves, because you can't help somebody else unless you help yourself too.
I was going to say, right. Exactly. Right.
So that oxygen mask needs to go on you first. That's why on an airplane, when those masks fall, they say put it on yourself first before you decide to try to help somebody else.
Right.
Right. If you're useless to yourself, you're useless to people around you.
And don't forget to grab that mask while you're getting sucked out the airplane. Anyway,
Right.
Shayna says, how many of the women described this morning are part of your real world experience? Do the women in your life see men as toxic? It feels manufactured and just another picket team. And here's what I'll say. The women in my life do not find men as toxic. Okay, because and I can speak for the girls that I raised and I'm still raising.
Yep.
Is this the number one thing is I tell them is I go, all men are idiots and you change them. I tell them that right off the bat. Right? And when they get upset with what a guy does, I go, I told you, all men are idiots and you can't change it. That's just who we are by nature. Right? A real man is going to, you know what I mean? Not kowtow to you. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to fall up. We're going to fall down. We're going to get bloody. We're going to do stupid things because we're all simple as that. Right? And Don says, good point, Don. I think strong women have no issue with strong men. And I agree with that.
I agree with that.
Right?
There's a difference between strong men and like a bullying man, right?
Well, true. There is, and that's
a bullying man is not a strong man.
That's where the difference between toxic masculinity and just masculinity is.
That's right. And that's where a definition of what a real man is and what a toxic man is, right? Because a real man will step up and take accountability and do what he needs to do and get it done, right? A toxic man might be doing, and he's doing it for the right reason. The toxic man might be doing some of these things for the wrong reason.
See, I feel like the toxic man is not understanding what it is to truly be a good person and a good man, and is trying to put on the act. I think that's where the toxicity comes from. So they're like, oh, well, a real man is going to walk in the gym and shove everyone out of his way because that's what I'm a big tough man. That's toxic because you're putting on a character. That's not who you are. You're trying to be something that you're not instead of just accepting yourself as you are.
They think a definition of that would be they have to try to intimidate intimidate people around them to make them feel
Agreed.
like a man.
Right.
Agreed.
Well, the other thing that term does is it does something that we claim that we shouldn't do and generalize about any group of people. It's like we put this big label of toxic masculinity on men. It's like if you say something that general about any other group, you'd be called nasty names appropriately. But it seems to be okay to just lump all of us into toxic masculinity, and that's okay. It shouldn't be that way.
That meeting, instead of toxic masculinity, you just call it as that guy's a fucking asshole.
Right.
And that's
right.
100%.
He's an asshole.
Like I said, somebody who's bullying is not a strong man. That's a weak man.
Right. But being an asshole in the sole endeavor of trying to be a manly man is what defines the toxicity.
So
I think it is just another word for being an asshole.
So here's my take. A real man is not Brutus. A real man is Popeye. Popeye was pretty cool. He's in touch with his feelings.
He's very timid, but he stood up.
Or do something.
Right. He stood up for what was right.
Mm-hmm.
He protected and he stood up for what was right.
So I mean, if you think about that, Brutus is the guy who comes in, pushes everybody out of the way.
And why didn't he eat the spinach all the time? Why do you always have to wait?
Yeah.
And why is his forearms bigger than his biceps? I don't know. Anyway,
that was the spinach.
That's a toxic
Next
Right.
week on the ground.
Let's just say olive oil wasn't doing much for him.
right. So the women in my life, my wife is awesome. And she loves when I hold the door for her. She loves when because I'm paying attention
You're being
to
a
her.
gentleman.
Right. That's also part of being a real man to me.
Respectful to her.
Right. And she's, we're about 30 years in, and she's still my best friend. We have a partnership. It's not I rule the roost because I'm the man of the house. Her ideals matter just as much as mine. They're just as valid. And so we strategize together. Yeah. Do we argue about who leaves the cap off the milk or left, the cabinet, all the stupid shit? That doesn't matter. And we learned that, true love together is when it's really hard, not when everything's great. You're still together when things suck. Now, as a man, when things get hard, I was trained to, when the world sits on your shoulders, plant your feet, grind forward, no matter what.
Have a good trip. Don's bouncing.
I got to go. I got to run, but I just want to say, see, I'll miss you next week. I'll be vacationing in the lake country of Minnesota, but hope to see you in 2 weeks, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
Enjoy.
Have a good one.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in, buddy. We love you.
Shana says, every turn we are being gaslighted. Compassion on behalf of people we don't know. Compassion has been weaponized.
It has.
Yeah.
You're 100% right, Shannon.
Yeah. Right.
Just actually having a conversation or discussion is just really hard these days because everyone gets offended. You can't have a different opinion of other people. I mean, and that's the pussification. A real man will take your information in, right, and go, no, that's not the way I was born. Right. But he'll explain that, right? Yeah. Other people will be like, you're just an idiot. I'm not going to talk to you.
What do I usually say about being offended?
Yeah, no one's ever died from being offended.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, they might have killed themselves from being offended, but the offense themselves did not kill them.
So
that's the thing. Right. They take everything is taken, I feel, a little bit too deeply these days, right? Like everything is too personal.
Says the guy who goes deep all the time.
Yeah, right.
Right? Well, yeah.
Right.
So and things are just too personally, and there's nothing wrong with going deep and trying to understand things, but it's when people just, no matter what you say to them, it's going to be an offensive statement, right? And it's like they want to get away from it. It's like I want people to tell me how they feel, so I know it's up to me to make an adjustment.
When you control your thoughts, it's one thing. When your thoughts control you, it's a different thing.
Yeah,
it's absolutely
is not deep enough.
If you let your thoughts control you, you're screwed.
Well, you can't be. Yeah.
Right. Go ahead, Steve.
I was just gonna say all of this comes back to how you define how each and I think it's funny because everybody defines these social structures that we're talking about slightly differently. The one thing I haven't heard from anybody this morning is anything that would define a man's man that I wouldn't teach my daughter to be. I would teach my daughter to work with her hands, fix things, be assertive, take control of a situation, stand up for herself. Okay, right. So there's been nothing discussed about real men that I wouldn't teach my daughter.
Right. I agree with that. As a matter of fact, I have 2 daughters.
Yeah, you do. And
both of my kids were martial artists. They both know how to fish and hunt. They both know how to shoot.
Absolutely.
I taught them everything that I know.
So are they real men?
I would say probably better than.
That's
probably better than. You know, my oldest is a 2nd-degree black belt out of Korea and the United States, Jungdusul Taekwondo. She's a pacifist. She doesn't like to fight. And when I told her, I'm like, well, now you know how to defend yourself. She's like,
but now she can take care of herself. She needs to.
Well, right.
Mhm.
And being an old school Italian father, I'm like, oh, it keeps me out of jail, right? Well, that's the joke. Ha ha ha. But the thing is she's smarter than me because her answer was, Dad, it's an art, and it taught me how not to fight.
Okay, but
And I was like, that's awesome.
Excellent.
Here's how I'll answer your question, Steve.
okay.
And this goes from.
Are you speaking as a girl dad?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm speaking as
You're
a
going to
man.
get jonesed.
And,
I want to hear it.
and as a man, right?
Okay.
Is every little girl grows up and wants her prince to rescue her. Okay. And she wants that prince then to become the king and be there for her and do things for her. And right.
You think that's still evident today?
Absolutely.
Well, some girls, not all.
Right.
Not all.
They all want to live happily ever after. Right. This is the narrative that we tell growing up, saying the fairy tales and things like that, right? So deep down inside, every woman wants to be rescued and have that man give her. It doesn't mean that you can't go out and chop down a tree. That means that as you're chopping down that tree, he's sharpening your axe for you.
And you can send your ladies, you can send your email.
Of course.
So you're right. What we talked about isn't, but innately, my opinion is every little girl wants to find that knight in shining armor who's going to rescue her and give her the happily ever after.
Of course.
Right.
So, and the only thing I would say to that, and this is just, I think, what we're seeing in society, especially recently, not during when any of us were coming up, but right now, I mean, look at the Disney movies. The protagonist is a strong female that does not need a prince. Traditionally, for years and years and years, every story, every Disney story, right, was about a man riding up on a white horse and rescuing the woman,
Right.
And that's been the case, right? And then you see things like Shrek. He shows up, she's more than capable, done, right? All of the Disney protagonists lately, not one of them has been rescued by a big, strong man.
It's Disney. Do we say allegedly on that? I don't know.
Allegedly. We'll sprinkle it on there. Just
Well,
allegedly.
Slagle.
That's now the narrative as well, right?
Yeah.
Homer Simpson, dumb guy. Peter Griffin, dumb guy.
Correct.
Now we're watching basically every father figure, every man.
Correct.
Outside of Tim the Tool Man is not a manly man. Is more of an idiot and dummy. And,
Right. Bumping the wall. Right.
Well, and that was a huge thing, especially in the 90s. Every sitcom featured a heavy set idiot married to a smoking hot, just absolutely banging wife. Well, because you're the one talking about it. But no,
We're not talking about the Roseanne show.
Well, first,
that one definitely doesn't hit
so
his leg.
we're definitely not. But we're talking about
We're
we're talking about The Simpsons, Family Guy, King of Queens, according to Jim. I mean, I could name a million where she's the powerful, smoking hot woman married to the kind of overweight, dumber guy who works with his hands and like messes up on the bills and blows up the house. That's
it's
the
the
trope.
stereotype, right?
It is the stereotype, but that's because somewhere deep down, that's all of our dream, right? I want to be able to let myself go. I want to be able to just be an idiot, and I still want the American dream, the beautiful house on a salary that's not conceivable with my 2.5 children and my a gorgeous wife who's a stay-at-home mother.
Wife, yep.
That's not realistic anymore, but that's what we've all wanted. We all wanted to be that guy. Who doesn't want to be Peter Griffin? Just go and blowing your money on stupid shit. At the end of the day, you've got a loving family at home and a smoking hot wife that the whole neighborhood wants. Right. You know what I mean? Marge Simpson, same thing.
And then there's Meg.
God damn it, Meg.
But here's and as we're on the back end of this, the truth is, The truth is I don't think men's mental health has changed over time. How we deal with it has changed over time, right?
Yeah.
I still believe that the manly men are out there, but instead of taking time to model that manly men, I'll just you stay there, play your video game, do whatever you want. And I'm not saying all gamers are. I'm just saying that I'll take care of it. Let me show you. I'll call you when it's done, right? And I think we have pushed the manly men. Hey, go get a degree in whatever flower, whatever horticulture, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And be better than me. Move to the city and live an easy life. It's no more. Listen, come out in the garage. Let's change the oil. Yep. Let's change the brakes.
Well, and I'll say this on the end of that is even from us three, the generation like him, I would consider him in our category as a man, even because he's younger. Yeah. But he's still. I mean, listen. Soul. This man built a full-out bar in a goddamn garage, right? In a badass. And
working with my hands.
He works with his hands. He has that respect issue with women. It's the same.
He stays busy.
Right. So not all that generation. I want to just say it's kind of how they were raised. And
I was raised by a single mom, solely.
Yeah.
I was raised in a family where it's just me and my mom in a house every day until I turned 17. That was it. No siblings. My dad wasn't around back then. So I mean,
and you're doing great.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah. But I also think
she's on a lot of medication now.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I don't know.
Jesus. If she can remember to take it.
Sitting here right now. I'm just sucking it all in right now. I just try. I mean, you're not wrong, but you turned out good. Because she taught you and she raised you apparently to be a man, right? To do what characteristics
I think
are typically considered a man's characteristics.
Right? Thank you. So this is the point I wanted to. Thank you. So this is exactly what I wanted to say. She raised me to be a good person.
Right.
And you guys look at that and you're like, he's a good man, which I agree with.
Yes.
That is what that is. Yeah. To be a good man, to be a man's man, to be the real man, you have to be a good person. You have to function well in society. You have to get along with others. You have to respect everybody, but also hold your own. And that's what that is. Yep. It's just being a good person.
I agree.
That's right. 100%, man.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
That's it.
Hey, I'm gonna hold up my coffee cup.
All right,
man camp coming around the corner soon, guys.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do we ziggy zaggy that? I don't even know.
Mine's tequila. So.
Yeah. All of us here at 216 Creator Studios. We appreciate you tuning in this morning, and stick around. Steph and Joe later this afternoon. Got a lot of good stuff going on. Like, follow, subscribe, listen in on the radio side, and listen. There's a bunch of neat things coming around the corner. So hang in there.
We love you guys.
Love you guys.
And hey, for all you men out there, if you need help and you are struggling mentally, it's okay. You can talk to people. Right? Ask them. And you don't have to grin and bear it alone like we were taught as kids, right? Just take care of it. Rub some dirt. If you got a problem, go talk to somebody. It's part of life, right? I mean, everything. It's a problem.
The show's over. The show's over.
No, it ain't.
Figure out.
I didn't say so.
I also wish we had more time with this one. I really do.
We can continue. We can continue next week with it.
Till next time, folks.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for tuning in. Once again, go out there and be the change you want to see in the world. We love you all. Thank you much.